If the current demand for Bitcoin is 10x the daily production, increasing to 20x at the halving, and the previous all-time high was 68K, is it possible that the price of Bitcoin could reach somewhere between 10x or 20x 68K? My simple math would put the price between 680 and 1.35 million. Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah. So first of all, your logic, I don't want to burst your bubble, but it does oversimplify the complex dynamics of price determination in markets. Now, price is influenced not only by supply and demand, but also by other factors: market sentiment, the economy, regulations, investor behavior, investor sentiment, macro, tech, you name it. And while increasing demand against a backdrop of limited supply due to halving will put upward pricing pressure, but the question is how much, and I think yours is a little bit of a stretch there at 10x. So what I've done is broken it down a little bit easier, and this is my sandbagged logic, and I'm going to walk you through it. Then I'm going to walk you through a subsequent piece of logic, and you guys can make your own decisions. But either way, it's going to be a good time. Now, I did refine our analysis. I shared this, I think, in one of my ETF videos earlier in the week. But basically, we're doing $500 million a day, which is insane. And if you take 252 trading days, you get a lot of money. But the question is, will that money flow continue? All right, that is absolutely critical. And also, I've got the new IA halving multiplier, which I calculated based on what has happened just over the last 26 days of the ETF. And it's crazy. And remember, there's a couple of things that we have to bear in mind. One, we are early. Two, Grayscale is dumping a huge amount. They dumped nearly 30% of their 621,000 Bitcoin in 26 days. It's insane. Imagine when that turd is flushed from the system. That's going to be a good time. But we have to assume that the money flow continues, and we don't know if that's going to happen. But we do know people are looking at alpha, and we do know we're early, and we do know we've got 59 and 58 days to go to the halving, and we do know it hasn't even hit kind of the markets yet as to exactly what's going on. So even if we assume we're not going to get $500 million a day, but just a quarter of that per this multiplier, which doesn't even take into account the halving, will take us up to $173,000 if the ETFs take in 125 million a day. All right, that's a pretty easy stretch based on my conservative numbers. But let's break it down a different way. And again, I encourage you all to take these numbers and create your own models, because that's a big part of how we go forward. Now, this is the actual breakdown of the new IA ETF only price logic. I know it's a very long-winded name, but hey, I'm trying to explain what it is. So the total money flow in, and this is net of the dumping from Grayscale, is $5.065 billion over 26 days. The initial Bitcoin price at the start of the ETF flow was 42,903. We've gone up, call it $10,000 to 52,162. Now it's 51,800. It's fallen a little bit since I put this together. But anyway, that's Bitcoin. Goes up and down $300 in a matter of minutes. And the average daily money flow, this is important, has been 194.8 million a day. And the price change went up $9,200 over 26 days. That's $356 a day. So in simple terms, the price impact of $100 million increases the price by about $182. And the average daily flow annualized is 50 billion. By the way, it's unbelievable because my Ultra Bull ETF flow for the first year, Ultra Bull, was 50 billion. We're easily on pace to doing that right now. Easily. Because remember, when Grayscale goes away, these numbers will be a lot higher. Now, let's get back to these numbers. Here, that's 50 billion. Over 100 million is 500. 500 times $182 for every 100 million is 91,415, which could take us theoretically to a price target of adding 52K, the current price, plus 91,000, goes to $143,577 1 year from now. And I know that sounds crazy, hard to imagine, but everything's possible in crypto and everything is possible in this disrupted exponential world. But remember, flow will never be continuous. There will be fits and starts. There'll be big days and small days. But remember, this is the crazy piece here that this doesn't even take into account. Scarcity. This thing will get harder and harder and harder. I'm going to talk about Bitcoin distribution in a few minutes. The halving is coming up. GBTC is going away. Retail buyers aren't in yet at the scale we need them. There'll be other inflows, not just these 9 new ETFs. And the miner flows are not factored in either. The miners have been dumping. What happens? What happens when the miners start to hodl? And they say, you know what, I'm going to hold this $50,000 Bitcoin for a few months because I know it's going to 100 grand. Then we're going to have a crazy supply crunch. I mean, it's really crazy. But this, again, just takes into account all of what's happened over 26 days. It's extremely positive. Even if you take a quarter of the flow, and that doesn't take into account the halving, Grayscale going away and everything else, it's still going to be crazy. So super exciting time. And regarding the whole retail stuff, I did tweet this earlier, but it was nested under a tweet. But Preston Pish, etc., were on the actual thread. And I really would argue that the awareness and the impact of the halving has not sunk in yet. This is a chart I shared. It's Google Trends globally for Bitcoin halving. Nobody's looking it up yet. But if you look at 2015, nobody knew about it then either. 2020, people did, and there's a big spike. I expect the awareness and knowledge of Bitcoin halving to explode over the next 60 days. And then everybody will be sucked into the platform. And then we'll see massive price appreciation. So early days yet. We'll see. It's just, as I say, exciting time to be alive.